Hey guys, what's up? Nate here. Recently, Spotify announced yet another purchase in the podcast realm of Megaphone for $235 million. We've seen Spotify doing a lot of this over the past couple of years, investing a lot in podcasting. So what does this mean for content? Why are they doing this? Is their investment paying off? And what does this possibly mean for advertising? Is there maybe an avenue for advertising in there as well? We're seeing Spotify invest a huge amount of this, while on the other side, their music production side is kind of complaining that Spotify isn't paying them enough. So we're going to dive into this really quickly. Now, if you haven't yet, if you love receiving the most recent news about e-commerce, about social media, about marketing, and you just want to be a better marketer, a better business person, please feel free to smash that subscribe button. All right, let's go ahead and break it down. So Shopify purchased Megaphone, $235 million deal. Megaphone is a software company that started out as a production company. They've been instrumental in producing brands like BuzzFeed, Wall Street Journal. I believe they did Vox as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know, though, for BuzzFeed and Wall Street Journal, and then rebranded to be more on the software side of podcasting and helping them with, content production and ad tools, and just helping them on that side. So mainly rebranded around that, purchased by Spotify. Now, they have been producing a lot of content producers. Instead of just, thinking about the software side, they're purchasing these content producers. Other ones over the past couple of years, Gimlet, Parcast, and I think the one that everybody knows is the Joe Rogan Experience. It's Joe Rogan's podcast. Huge deal, $100 million deal paid to Joe Rogan to be on Spotify. They started a podcast with Kim Kardashian, and then they've just been also purchasing other podcasting technology like Anchor. So why is Spotify focusing so much on this particular type of content? I think that Spotify sees the value, the huge value inside of a community. Podcasts have a very personal, authentic feel around them that they typically come with a very good sized community of dedicated listeners. Spotify expects that those listeners will kind of transfer over to their platform. Now, you'll notice typically behind these content purchasing that Spotify does with these producers like Joe Rogan, there is a element of exclusiveness that comes along with it, where they only want the content produced on their platform. So people have to come to their platform to listen to the podcast. Now, big reason for this, if you think about podcasts, right? Typically, they can be kind of longer. You look at the Joe Rogan podcast, it's a pretty decently sized podcast. You're looking at maybe an hour or more. Generally, it's more than an hour for each podcast. And Joe Rogan also has a very, very long listening time. Now, what that means is that some people are on their platform for a much longer amount of time. And when someone's on your platform for a longer amount of time, what we can learn from this, if you can keep people on your platform longer, that's more opportunity for interaction. That's more opportunity to change and encourage buyer behavior. That's more opportunity to get them engaged with other things. Spotify sees this as a huge opportunity to use user interaction technology to do things like recommendations and encourage them to look into other content and take them down other avenues. So this makes complete sense. Keep them on the platform longer and be able to have them, go into other things. If they've already purchased something from Spotify, what's the likelihood that they can maybe purchase something else? Or if they're already listening to this, get them listening to that. It's kind of just a marketing technique that a lot of people use. Even you don't see it a lot in e-commerce, but it is something that people in e-commerce should think about. How can we keep people on the page or on the platform for longer? Now, Courtney Holt, the head of Spotify Studios, said this: people who consume podcasts on Spotify are consuming more of Spotify, including music. So we found that increasing our podcast catalog and spending more time to make the user experience better, it wasn't taking away from music. It was enhancing the overall time spent on the platform. So remember, I talked a little bit in the beginning about how music producers were kind of getting mad that Spotify isn't spending a lot on this, but they're spending a lot on that. But at the same time, they're seeing a huge increase in usability on the platform as a whole. People aren't just coming onto Spotify to listen to podcasts. They're also finding that transfer over to music. Now, this makes sense. Why is YouTube so successful in conversions and in content? Because their average watch time is close to 40 minutes per person. That's a huge watch time out of every website in the world. That is an enormous amount of time spent on platform, a lot of opportunities for interaction. So will the investment itself pay off? I think it's kind of too early to tell. The podcasting realm, as much as it seems like it's huge, it's not as big as it's probably going to be. I think that's part of the reason why Shopify invests so much in this. It's still a baby. It's still small. And the reality is that so much of online education is going to move onto that podcasting side that they're trying to invest as much as they can in it right now. But at the same time, you have close to 20% of Spotify listeners are just listening to podcasts on their platform, which, over 200 million users easily on their platform. That's a pretty big chunk of people that are listening to podcasts on their platform. Now, when they signed the deals with Joe Rogan and people like Kim Kardashian, their stock shot up 10%. So clearly investors are also very excited about this. And, it might sound strange, but this is another huge opportunity, huge avenue for Spotify on the end of advertising. So when thinking about advertising itself, it might sound strange, but you listen to podcasts, and podcasts, there's always advertisements inside of podcasts. This podcast is sponsored by XYZ. And then there's the opportunity for an advertisement in there. Well, Spotify sees this as a huge opportunity for their partnerships and for, just advertising itself on the platform to be able to have those in-stream ads during podcasts. A really, really big deal, because I know you might listen to a podcast and you think, well, people are listening to this. I mean, I've never bought anything off a podcast if you haven't before. But the podcast advertising itself is becoming a market in and of itself, projected to be a $1 billion industry by 2021, which is still kind of small. But again, just that progressive growth as the industry grows to be a $1 billion industry on something as podcasts, which is still small, is a really big deal. And so it really just to clarify this around, what Spotify sees as deals to help with their partners, and to clarify, Courtney Holt again said this at CES 2019 to clarify really what Spotify is. He said, we're an audio company. We're trying to be the world's best audio service. I think that in relation to the idea of Apple Podcasts is a big deal, because, Apple is still the most listened to platform for podcasts. And so Spotify is in direct competition with them. He also said it's a pure play for us. We're seeing increased engagement. There's great commercial opportunities from podcasting that we've never seen on the platform. And obviously, exclusives are to give us something that makes the platform truly unique. Only having those people on there. Every deal they sign with these people is exclusive. You have to produce content exclusively on our platform. He continues on to have people come to Spotify for something that you can't get anywhere else. Sort of a cherry on top for that entire strategy. Thinking very long term, understanding the engagement, and looking at the competition. I think that's a huge evaluation of what Spotify is doing. Understanding the competition behind this, competing with Apple on that end. Now, Spotify is well over 200 million users, and I think this is a great thing for podcasts, because given that user base, there's a huge opportunity to promote podcasts on there as well. I think everyone has been so used to that idea of Google Play and Apple Play for so long that now there's another player in the game. I think it also is a good thing possibly for advertisers. I mean, I think, because Spotify doesn't have a really big advertising platform in and of itself right now for advertisers like me who run ads for companies. But if there was opportunity to produce something inside of a podcast and be able to have maybe in-stream ads or something like that, some way that you can put that in there, that would be an amazing opportunity for advertisers to be able to go after specifically targeted content. I mean, imagine, with YouTube, you can do specific targeting on pages. So if you're selling like something really manly, I don't know, you might target something like a manly YouTube channel. Well, imagine being able to do that with podcasts as well, but in general, just being able to run ads on top of podcasts. Really awesome stuff. So in this, really focused on those authentic podcasts. That's why they're getting, those really big deals. That's what they see as something really valuable behind a podcast, because again, you have that personalization. But because of that authenticity, that's typically what's going to sell the best on a podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today of Spotify. If you found value in it, make sure that you like the video down below. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.